That's the thing about being out of the film school and still being, I feel like relatively young, is I realized that putting myself into a corner and saying this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, as much as that is appealing, I think it could be dangerous. Yeah, my plan was just kind of follow everyone along, be a intern somewhere at some studio and kind of work my way up, and just always like on a hope and pray like mindset. You can only test like your patience and that for so long before you start harming the people around you. The only way to know if you've made the wrong decision is if you have gone through it. It was very refreshing. Wow, I get to take a break away from this systemized filmmaking thing and I get to just explore. I don't think we're meant to like be always on the move. Like I'm on the airplane like twice every 3 days, right? Like that has a physical toll on you for sure.
Daniel, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Excited to do this.
Absolutely. We met, I think, when I was a freshman on that KCN set.
Oh my god, really? Is that
with
how
Elgin?
back?
I'm pretty sure that's how we first met.
Wow, that's a minute.
Yeah, that was a while ago. There was a hospital scene. I had no idea how to set up a light and everything.
Wow, it's been a minute. Mm-hmm.
Here we are about, what, three years after?
Yeah, is it 3 years? 4
Almost.
years? Yeah, almost.
Yeah. Well, Daniel, I mean, you've recently graduated like a year ago, and you've been thrown into the real world.
I have.
You have to be like everyone else.
That's right.
In the professional industry. What have you been up to?
I've been up to, honestly, the craziest things. I would have never expected my life to kind of go in this way. I've been, so post-grad, like the day after graduation, I had a gig lined up and I still kind of do this gig until literally I have it going on tomorrow, next week too. I've been on like a tour group, so like for concerts where they tour around, the US and Europe and all that. I kind of follow them around for production help, so I kind of do assistant work for a lot of those concert productions. Mainly I've been doing a lot of camera assistant things just because film school, and they're like, oh, you fit right in. And so I've been doing a lot of that, but I've also done like audio assisting, and I just started doing a lot of stage, like concert stage assisting and all that. But I got to travel a lot, and that's kind of been my big thing for the last year, is just traveling and a lot of soul searching, a lot of deconstructing what I've learned at USC and restructuring it into who I believe what fits me. So that's been my year.
What is it like transitioning from a system where it's all about, making films and telling stories to an environment where you're really capturing like live events, and I would assume it's a little bit different in terms of how things are organized. So how do you find what you've learned from film school and apply it to live events?
A lot of it is just the work ethic and kind of the pace on which productions happen that are similar. Like how film sets, they're very kind of fast paced, or even pre-production, production. A lot of it is high pressure, like high speed. Same thing with concerts too. It's a lot of it's like set up on the day of and then load out on the day of, like concert, and then load out immediately. So a lot of this high paced work environment was something that I was familiar with, and I guess they realized that I was comfortable in it, which is why they kept on calling me back for it. Me personally, I think everything is translatable. Like everything that I do, whether it's relating to the film industry, not relating to the film industry, is translatable to anything that I do. It's never like a 1 point to 1 point thing. It's a compound of all these different things that I've done in my life that happen to have come together in a certain way to help me out for a job or a gig or a certain situation. For me, everything, it's been like that. So it was pretty easy for me.
So this is like a freelance thing that you're doing consistently?
This is a freelance thing that they just keep on calling you back for.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
do you feel like fulfilled in this for now, at least?
No, I don't think I'll ever be fulfilled about anything that I do.
Okay.
Just kind of the personality that I am, I kind of always like find ways to elevate and find ways to bring more to the table.
Yeah.
But I think I am very grateful for what I've been given, this opportunity. Especially the fact that I got to kind of travel across places that I've would have never thought to have gone to.
Yeah.
Like just last week, I came back from a 2 week tour from Europe, and I've never been to Europe. So it's like, and they pay for my flights and all that. It's like I'm blessed. I feel so blessed to be in the shoes that I am. But I'm always looking forward to the ways I can kind of improve on where I'm at, because I'm still. It's not like I'm still an assistant in the system, right? So I would love to be able to find ways to bring more to the table, be more productive in a way. I'm the type of person that where like not doing anything and just sitting down on standby is like the hardest thing for me to do. Like I'd rather be
Yeah.
just running around doing things rather than just sitting down. And so knowing that, I've been just trying to find ways to play a bigger part and bigger role in what I do.
Right. How do you feel like this freelance like tour thing fits in your like grand scheme, like in your goal
Yeah.
of being, in Hollywood or like making movies? How do you think this fits in?
For me, a lot of it is internal. I found that, first, a lot of the groups that I work for are K-pop groups, right? So a lot of it has to do with my Korean heritage. Kind of being able to come back into my own skin about, oh, like I forgot that I was Korean in a certain way. And that listening to these music, working with a lot of Korean people, has made me realize certain parts about my Korean heritage that I may have forgotten. And I think it's maybe I've realized that I was intentionally repressing on it for a little bit just because I gotta fit in the American system.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, what makes me me is the fact that I am an immigrant, right? I live half my life in Korea, half my life in the United States. So it's natural for me to have this balance and have this harmony. Oh, sometimes this like dissonance, but mostly harmony between the Korean culture and the American culture.
Yeah.
So I got to reflect on that. Another thing is these concerts are huge, right? These are like big time, kind of top of the pyramid concerts. And so for me to be working in the production team, you kind of get to see the scale of how big things could be, right? A good example, a small example, but a good example that I use was, you know how sometimes on our film sets we use gaff tape, right? And it's like gaff tape's pretty expensive, if you take a look. So sometimes we like try to use paper tape or whatever alternatives to kind of save on cost. But on those productions, they have literally bins and bins of gaff tape. And if we lose them, just buy another one. I'm like, okay, see, that's the level of like productions that like these big productions have. And that kind of was very eye-opening for me, and made me realize as a kind of upcoming producer, hopefully, like figuring out like avenues of money that we should be spending money on and that we probably will have to be spending on once we get to a higher level of production. And just those things, kind of working on a higher level makes you reflect on what I could be doing on a lower level.
Going off of that though, I feel like I've worked on set with you a couple times, and I feel like you're like just so present and you're always doing things that could like be of help of the production at the moment. Like how does one who wants to be a producer like build that habit or build that mentality? Because I feel like not everyone has that quality, and how do you, build yourself so that when you're still at a level of, maybe not as big as the musical concerts where you still have to conserve money, how do you go about maximizing what we have and make the best possible thing?
I think it's a personality thing. For me, I'm a big believer in not causing harm to other people. And for me, as a producer on set, at least, if I just stay back and I just be nonchalant, that's probably causing some kind of harm to someone. Someone might be, I don't know, in need of something, but if I'm not proactive about it, then that inherently means I am letting someone down or causing harm. And I just hate that feeling of like making someone feel that way. So it's just a natural thing where I'm always proactive about it. I also, like I said, I hate just sitting around, so I'm always trying to find some things to do. But on Hermit Crab, the set that I worked on with you and you, I realized that a part of me also has to realize that as a producer, I have to just kind of let the director live and let the set live too, right? So there's a big production that's happening with Justin, a fellow member that was sitting on this chair, that he's doing his thing, right? And so for my job as a producer is to eliminate everything else around it that can harm the production, right? So I stay on the outskirts, making sure that like, oh, the bugs like stay away from the food while they enjoy the food there, right? I've realized that was a good system for me, where I don't have to, because on productions, if there's so many voices, then the film can just go everywhere, right? So you just kind of have to let the production team do what they want to do, and for me as a producer, I just have to be able to give them a playground to play in, and that's kind of my philosophy.
That's awesome. Like, have you always wanted to be a producer, or when did that like happen in your head where you wanted to?
No, I was a young kind of high hopes wannabe director when I came into USC, right? Like I feel like most people, you know.
Yeah.
And I still have those aspirations for sure. But I've realized that one, I'm in no rush to be a director. I feel like, in fact, it's very rare for someone that are as young as we are, to take on a role of director and be feeling so confident in that role. I think for me, I've realized that my personality and just kind of the way that I see people and I want to treat people is being able to help someone grow. And I just kind of love the idea of bringing other people up with me.
Yeah.
Producing was kind of like that, where I see someone, for Hermit Crab was Justin. I see someone who's got the passion and who's got the message that I also resonate with, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to dive into this with you, and not only develop this project into the best it could be, but also develop the family that we've built together, right? Not, whether that be the crew and the cast and all that. So that resonated, and I kind of want to pursue that a little bit more. But who knows, man? Like literally in 2 months, I could be like, nah, screw producing. I wanna do directing, or I wanna become a cinematographer or audio. That's the thing about being, I guess, out of the film school and still being, I feel like relatively young, is I realized that putting myself into a corner and saying this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, as much as that is appealing, I think it could be dangerous. Like we have so much time in our lives because we could explore it. And I've realized that maybe coming to USC and taking all these classes, maybe they've been trying to put me in a little bit of a system and put me in a little bit of a how-to almost. But I've being able to recognize it and being able to deconstruct it, I've come to a term where I need to just grow as a person first. Like I need to explore. I need to explore my personality, the world, and then after I get a sense of what I have, then I'll be able to use that to come up with a thesis of who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long do you think it takes to find out who you are?
I don't think it. I think it's a never-ending journey. But I think there is a calling, though. There will be a moment when you realize that you know enough about something for you to be able to talk about it. Dude, who knows? Maybe filmmaking, like, isn't like where I'm the most creative. Maybe I just haven't explored a different art yet, right? I would have never known if I just decided, hey, USC is my thing, and like filmmaking is my thing. I'm just gonna go straight into it. Like, no, let me explore who I am as a person. Let me explore and see where that takes me.
Do you think the whole concert experience has been a healthy way to do that? Because you also do get to get away from LA a little bit, because LA can be pretty overwhelming because of just the number of aspiring filmmakers and how many film sets there are. But to get away from that, do you think it's a healthy avenue?
I don't think it's more of the LA thing, but it's just the fact that like it's a different form of art, right? And it's like I've grown up like singing all the time. Like I love singing. I love music. And being so in proximity with like a musician and being like a band and all that. It's like, wow, this is like has awakened the part of my creativity that I kind of didn't really expect. I realized from very young I love music and I love musicals, and like that music has been always been a part of my life. And if it wasn't for this opportunity, I would have never been able to, or I would have, but it would have been taken a lot longer of a time. Yeah, just a lot of soul searching or researching, getting to revisit certain instinctual creativity that I always had. And this opportunity was that for me, at least in terms of the musical side. Yeah.
Did you intern at all during your time at USC?
I did not, no.
So, without interning, what was the mindset coming after, like before graduation, before getting that gig? Were you worried at all? How did you feel about graduating?
So I should have interned. I realized that I should have interned. For any of you watching out there, do try an internship while you're at school, please. No, for me, it was a lot of it. I had worries for sure, but I didn't know how bad it was gonna be. Right? Like I thought if I just apply for like a couple months, I'll find something, right? And it's not that like I didn't apply. I've been applying. I've sent resumes out there, but I didn't know it was gonna be this like dreadful of a situation that we're in. So yeah, my plan was just kind of follow everyone along, be a intern somewhere at some studio and kind of work my way up. But I mean, even the people that did plan on doing that and didn't have the opportunity like I did, like they're still doing that, and like after a year, and they're still looking for ways to get in. It's hard for me to see my peers kind of going through that kind of system and just always like on a like hope and pray like mindset.
Yeah.
Because it's you can only test like your patience and that for so long before you start harming the people around you. Yeah, it's been tough. I know it's been tough out there, and for now I think we are, at least in our age, we are young enough to get to explore our spirit a little bit more, rather than feeling like the need to do something so quickly, like get a job so quickly. I know it is an extreme luxury for me to be able to get to say this, that it's a privilege to get to explore your spirit in that way. But if you do have the opportunity, this is the age to do it. Yeah.
When do you think is like the age to not be able to do that anymore? Is there like a cap? You're like, at that age, I need like an actual stable career or something like that? Or is it different for everyone? Or?
I think it's different for everyone.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, someone that comes from a super rich family will have a different kind of, I guess, limit than say someone that needs the money immediately and stuff like that, right?
Well, how long do you think you'll be exploring all these things until you try to like get like a stable career or something like that?
A lot of people say like, you have to live for yourself, right? Like this life is for you, and that's 100% true. But I do think that at a certain point in life, there are parts where you have responsibilities for other people as well, right? Like I have a responsibility for my parents. At a certain point, I'm gonna have to take care of them, and then at a certain point, I'm gonna have to start a family, and once I start having those responsibilities become a prominent part of my life, I think that's the point where I'm like, okay, I need to be able to have the resources to support and take care of these responsibilities, right? As of right now, like, yes, I still have those responsibilities, but it's not as prominent, right? And so it's like a seesaw, right? So as soon as that starts to become more bigger part, then I think that's the point where I'm like, okay, I do need to, like, either I've made it so far in my career where that's already taken care of, or I need to find ways to make that taken care of. And I think it's a natural course of event where something will happen, or you want something out of your life that will determine that. Yeah. But it's a case by case thing for everyone.
Right. Do you look to like other like your peers or friends for I guess inspiration, but also just like a point of comparison to go like, hey, maybe this is where I want to reach in 2 years. Maybe a friend who's like 2 years above you who graduated early or whatever. How do you go about like measuring yourself amongst others? I know it's a little bit weird thing to be always comparing yourself, but it's kind of inevitable, especially in this industry. So how do you go about like positioning yourself amongst peers, because filmmaking is a pretty collaborative world
Yeah.
and everyone is working with each other and trying to know what each other's up to. So
Yeah.
how do you find your own niche and place?
I don't compare myself at all to anyone. Never. And the reason being is like I have my own spirit and my own soul, and that person will have their own spirit and their own soul. I don't think it's possible to compare between two different people. At least in the arts, right? Like if you have like at least let's say like you're in finance or whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, like this person has this much money and this person doesn't have. It's like it's numbers. It's very like comparable. But art is the whole point is that it's subjective, right? So like something that I can say will resonate with someone, but doesn't resonate with someone else, right? If you look at any of the great directors that we have in our time right now, like some people are gonna say, I don't understand a single thing that this person has made or something like that, right? And so it's I don't ever compare myself to anyone, but to myself. The only person that I compare to myself is myself. Who was I a year ago compared to who am I today? Like I think that's the only comparison that I really make. Yeah. Does that kind of
No, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And going back in time, like if was there anything that you wish you could have told your freshman year or sophomore year self?
No, I think I like learned it the hard way, and I think that's the best way to do it. Like I came into USC. I had like a film background in high school. I was fortunate to come from a film program from in high school. So coming into USC, I'm like, oh, dude, I got this in the bag. Like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then I went in there and I was like, I do know what I'm doing, but I realized that I was so stuck in a matrix of like, this is what filmmaking is, like textbook. I'm like, oh no, like filmmaking is this whole nother thing. And that shock, I think carried on to shape or open up my eye to self research, soul research again, right? I love that term, like soul research. And even now, post grad, I'm like doing soul researching again. And it's just as an artist, I think it's always going to be the cycle of finding something new about your craft and your creativity and your soul.
How do you do soul research?
Um,
Like for that people out there who also want to find who they are, like what are some ways you do? Like practical ways, I guess.
a big happening for me was when I took shout out to Daniel Noah.
Yes.
Shout out to Daniel Noah from USC.
Absolutely.
I hope I don't know, somehow this reaches in somehow. But
Yes.
there was a moment
Totally
when he talked about as an artist we have to respect the way we experience things. And like an example, actually I'm not gonna say the example because it's in his class. Go take his class. But yeah, it's just being aware of how you instinctively react. I think that's the biggest thing for soul researching. My personal example is there has to be a reason why I decided that I was gonna be a filmmaker when I was in second grade. Like there was such a pure instinctive reason as a person that attracted me to that simple idea of becoming a filmmaker. And like the further we age, I feel like we start to lose grasp of the innocent love for the artistry that we have, right? We get thrown in all these like other people's opinions and comparisons and system, and at a certain point we have to be like, okay, these are good things to know and these help my craft, but at the end of the day, I have to be myself. I have to be complacent with myself and who I am, or not complacent. I have to accept my true nature, and because that's when I get to shine, and that's when I get to become unique, right? If I just say, "Hey, this system is what I want," then I become like that system. But if I say, "I want to be who I am truly, as in my true like flesh and bone," that's when you become unique, and that's what I've been trying to figure out. A lot of it is just breaking down what I've learned and putting it back together into who I think fits me the best.
So you talk about a lot about breaking down what you learned at USC. Like, what are some stuff you learned at USC that you had to relearn in the real life, or that you felt like wasn't true to real life or professional like industry stuff?
It's not really like anything specific that USC said, but there is a certain trend of, and it is still very relevant today, about like the short film genre almost, and what short films are supposed to do, and the authorship of like directors and filmmakers. That gets pushed very heavily, I think, in all film schools, and that's great. I think all artists should be able to express themselves in a certain way. But for me, I've kind of come to realize that this independent scene is for a very specific amount of people. Just because some other independent did something that got a lot of recognition and that's getting a lot of praise for, doesn't mean that that kind of style is for you, right? Like, independent just means like on a fundamental level means it's independent, it is you. But because we like everyone likes to compare, right, like you said, that independent becomes a system now, and that independent becomes a certain standard, right? Independent is never supposed to be a standard, but because we compare ourselves, it becomes a standard. And I realized that I had to kind of pull myself back from trying to make something that is like the independent. Then I just need to become independent of myself. And hence the soul thing, what I've been talking about recently, is just pulling back from kind of your taste a little bit and finding my own taste in films.
Do you think you had a more like quote unquote pure taste when you were younger, like 17, 18?
I think so. I would think so.
And how do you go about like locating that now that we're in our 20s and with all the system going on? Like, how do you separate? It's almost like severance. It's like, you know, how do you have a part of yourself that's like unadulterated? You're just a pure creative who's thinking about how to express these thoughts and ideas and stories that you have, but also have a part of you that's aware of how the industry works, how the system works. And I feel like that's such a difficult thing to figure out among a lot of my friends.
That's a never-ending question. I think like the whole point of being an artist is that we're confused. Like, we're meant to be confused, right? Like, and we hope that by making films and by being creative, we offer a certain type of answer that could be pleasing to some people. But that's like such a small fraction of our life, and it's like, so everything's confusing. And to that question, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I wish I knew. But that's part of the journey, right? And that's part of the experience, and that's part of the part of being an artist, right? It's getting to be confused and always getting to reflect on what is true for you. Like, my system could be different from you and everyone else, and it is different from everyone else, and that's the beauty of it. That's what makes us unique. Yeah,
I do want to hear more about your experience on those tour groups.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. So, well, first of all, how did you get into that? How did you get invited onto that?
I got invited onto it from a friend of mine that I worked with like this one time, and she just texted me one day out of the blue. It's like, hey, I have this gig that I don't think I'll be able to make it, but I'm hoping that you are available. I said, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I'll try it out, right? I didn't really think it was going to continue on for something. One, I was like still in school, so I was like, man, filmmaking is my thing. I don't know what I'm going to do with the other industry, right? So I still had that mindset of like this this kind of tunnel vision. It's like I'm a filmmaker. And I did it, and it was very refreshing, almost like, wow, I get to take a break away from this systemized filmmaking thing, and I get to just explore. Yeah, and then that just went on. They liked who I am and the way that I work, and just keep on calling me back.
That's great. And what is like the hardest part about being on the road all the time and being on these tours?
Oh man, your health. It's so important to take care of your health when you're like just on the road, and just this lifestyle of production it gets crazy, man. Like, I mean, the work hours are obviously crazy, right? But like, you always, like, I don't think we're meant to like be always on the move. Like, I'm on the airplane like twice every 3 days, right? Like, that has a physical toll on you for sure.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
just recently, like I said, I was in Europe, right? Dude, like, my skin got so bad. This side is really bad right now, camera. I don't know. Like, dude, I had to like cover this thing up, dude. No, but it's like, it's so important to take care of your health. I struggled with that in my first tour. Like, I was like just out and about, so excited about everything, and I didn't really take care of my health. And then it got to me. I was like, oh my god, I need to take a break. And so I took like a month-ish break, and I went back at it with a better mindset of it.
Like, how do you take care of your health on the road all the time?
Vitamins, a lot of vitamins, making sure you get enough rest, like, instead of going out all the time, like, get like, stay at the hotel, take a break for yourself. When you feel sick and when you need to take a medicine, like, take the medicine. Like, it doesn't hurt to take the medicine. Eat a lot of good food. Don't eat like trashy foods, like, and water. To drink a lot of water. There's just basic health needs. Because the thing about production is you kind of get wrapped up in the speed of things. You're like, oh my god, project, so exciting. And you kind of lose a sense of yourself. It's like, just kind of slow down a little bit, take care of yourself, because otherwise it's just going to be like, you're not going to be able to last long. Yeah.
Do you want to pursue more, like dive into the music industry, or is that just like that's the extent you're gonna be doing music for?
I don't know. I think that's a big kind of crossroads that I'm at right now. Is, I think, yes, it's good to kind of, I'm blessed that I've had this opportunity, but also it's like, then you have to think about, do I want to do this for a longer period of time? Because then there's also a problem where you might just get stuck in a loop, and you just keep doing the same thing over and over again. And I'm scared that if I just kind of love everything right now, and like, I just get stuck in it, right? And I have other aspirations as an artist, that I want to pursue.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, and that balance is something that I'll have to figure out, kind of just in the upcoming months. But I think one thing I know for sure is I trust myself to be able to make the right decision. Whether that it is the wrong decision or not, we'll never know. Only God will know. But at least I know that whatever decision I make, I'll come through with it, and I'll find a way with it and to deal with it. But yeah, I wish I knew the answer, but I'm at that crossroads too. Figuring out when's a good place to stop and move on.
Right, and you love it right now, right?
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Is the pay good?
No, it's not good. I feel like any arts, like, I can't really expect the pay
And
to
you're
be
starting
good.
out too.
Yeah, I'm starting out.
Yeah.
But at least I'm not like losing money. I think that's a big thing for me. It's like, hey, at least I'm like making money somewhere. I'm working.
Yeah.
I have a lot of good peers that I'm working with. Like, they're lovely, lovely people. And so, yeah, just the small things that I appreciate and that I am very grateful for.
Going off of that, like, how do you go about finding hobbies in life that are not in any way related to a career? What do I do in the creative field that just keep you sane in a way, where it's like, I'm just doing this for the sake of doing it because I love it, and regardless of what I do, this is something I can spend an hour or two on each week, or even maybe just a month?
For me, I've had a lot of influences outside. So, like, my parents had hobbies that I wanted to try out. My girlfriend had hobbies that she wanted to try out. So I'm just kind of, I try those things, and that fills up my hobbies. I think the big thing is just being open to try things. Like I did not think, like, if you asked me 3 years ago, 4 years ago, like, hey, would you ever be interested in like playing golf? I'd be like, no, like that's the most boring thing. But now I'm like, it's the best thing. Like I love it so much. But I was open to it, and I think that led me to a certain exploration, and that I got to appreciate. So just stay open to the world around you and what other people has to say. Obviously, if you really don't like it, then like I think if you really don't like it, your body will instinctively say you need to put a hold. But being open to it, I think, should be rewarding to a certain degree.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's kind of a common theme of being open,
Mm-hmm.
like for future opportunities or even for hobbies, right? But how do you stay open but also stay optimistic and not be anxious about like things not working out or not like worrying that you're on the wrong path or whatever?
I've had that phase, right? Like post grad, like after a couple months. Right after graduation, I went on a tour for about a month and a half, and then that continued on, and I had a kind of a time off for a couple months. And during that time, I was just like anxious out of my mind. I was like, oh my god, like what am I doing with my life? Am I making the wrong decisions? And I realized that the only way to know if you've made the wrong decision is if you have gone through it. Kind of a harsh truth, a little bit. Like it sucks, but I mean, like there's really no way of me knowing if this was the right decision or wrong decision right now if I can't look back on it. Call it delusional, sure. I think part of it is delusional, but just trusting in yourself that you will make the right decision, is a big part of it. Just having that confidence, especially coming out of college, right? It's like, yes, the risks are so much bigger than we were in school. But compared to someone like, let's say, later down in your life, like it's probably so minimal still. There's an element of our life where right now it may feel really big, but later down the road it's gonna be small, right? And just having that, always being in that mindset of like relativity, and knowing that whatever kind of even failures you make are gonna be end up being for the good. Just having that confidence.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you go about like making, like committing to a decision? Because I feel like that's something I personally, a lot of creatives I think struggle with is making a decision and then feeling like that might not be quote unquote the right decision, and then you're sort of just zigzagging along somewhere in the middle. How do you go about, like, for example, you're now doing a lot of music tours. How do you stay really true and present to that job and not let yourself get distracted by worrying about, oh, but I kind of want to be a filmmaker and this is maybe not the right thing for me, but then you still keep doing it? Like, how do you find that?
Well, I do
That's it.
have those worries still. Like every time I go on tour, I'm thinking, man, what if I was like back at home and I'm like on set and like being a filmmaker? I'm like, what would that be like? And I do have those worries. But I don't let those worries hinder what I can do in the present moment. I think having those worries is good. And I like, again, this is a very instinctual thing. Like your body will have a physical reaction once that worry hits like peak, right? And like you'll realize, oh my god, like yeah, this is the moment. Like I feel like you do get pushed in a certain way where it's like, okay, maybe I have made the wrong decision. I have to take a U-turn. And that's why I'm saying, like, whatever decision you make, like just make, like, whatever you feel like is the right choice, do it. And then like if it was the right decision, like Lord, like bless up. But if you realize it wasn't the right decision, you'll be able to understand it at a certain point, and you'll come back and you'll get to find your retrack and soul research, and eventually get to a place you want to be.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I think Kelly Murphy said that you gotta trust your instinct and not your intellect, especially when you're young.
Yeah.
So I think that totally reflects like just that kind of mindset where, yeah, like Daniel Noah talks about this too, where it's like your body will have a reaction to a certain thing and that basically tells you if it's a right decision or not, the right decision. But
Yeah.
Do you feel like, looking back to your last year at USC Film School, I know you said that you wouldn't have changed what you did because you had to learn these lessons the hard way. But for someone else that is going into their senior year of college, what advice do you have for them so that they don't have to face these things?
If I had to give any kind of advice to anyone going to USC right now is don't think that you know something. Always challenge what you know. When you feel confident that you know something, break it down and start over, because there will be something in there that was missing and something that you knowing that wisdom blocked out for you to absorb from other elements of your life.
Right.
Just always being hyper aware of, am I being put in a certain system? Am I being put in a certain box? Am I really truly being myself? And just being aware of your surroundings and how that's affecting you, being aware of how you experience it as an artist, as your body. I think that's really important.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's quite profound. I feel like there is so much we're taught, and we really do have to, kind of challenge ourselves and be open to everything. I think that's really true. But also, how do you stay confident that you know that what you're doing is the right thing for yourself or for your path?
All of my experiences in my life, all the failures specifically that I've gone through, have eventually been a huge part of like my growth. And I love it's kind of similar thing in Whiplash, the movie, where it's like, yeah, he went through so much, but like at the end of the day, like it kind of helped him grow, right? Like I think that's the confidence is knowing that even the worst decisions and all these mistakes, even if I make them, they're gonna be so much more for me to get out of it. And to me, I think that's one of those things where I do kind of factually know, and I really stand by it. And knowing that gives me the confidence to make decisions and to explore, because I know anything that I do, even if they're gonna hurt for a little bit, will be for the benefit of the good. Yeah.
Right. Wow. So, I mean, going back to your very beginning days of a filmmaker, you said you started when you were in second grade.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I don't know. I watched the film Tron Legacy.
Okay.
With my
Fire
mom.
movie.
Underrated
I watched it
movie.
with my parents.
Underrated movie. I can't wait until
The new one comes out.
No, I'm scared for the new one.
Yeah.
I'm scared for the new one. I hope it, like, I don't know, gets a re-release on the theater one day, something like that. No, but I just watched it, and I remember just coming home, and I told my mom, I was like, I want to do this. And part of it is also because of the fact that, like, I just had recently read a comic book that was about filmmaking. And it was like a very rudimentary, like very basic, like, oh, like this is what a director, a producer, a cinematographer. And I had just recently read it. And then that compiling with having watched a movie like that, I think that just the connection was made. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is something I can do. And I love how I feel right now after watching that movie. And I want to be able to provide that for other people. Yeah.
That's awesome. And how did you feel like since that day till going to USC, like how have your young career progressed?
Right. And that's where I needed to like break down what I knew, because I had such a innocent young love for the film, but then as soon as I went to like high school, where I'm in this film program and I was like being taught what filmmaking is, I started to like, of course, this is like new world for me. So of course I'm going to attract to it. I'm going to be like, this is what I believe in. This is what film is supposed to be. And now I'm realizing, okay, like it's great that I know it, but that's just might be a very narrow way of looking at it. And so I need to now find other ways.
Right.
That's been kind of my career for right now, is like me thinking that I know something and then I realizing, okay, it's not, I do know it, but it's just not the entirety of it. Yeah.
How do you feel like you're gonna get back into making movies again? Is there any like ideas of how you want to get back into it?
I think, well, right now I'm producing or about to produce a script with a friend of mine. That's coming to play. I resonate with it. I'm still gonna make it. I'm for sure gonna make it. But I think for me right now, coming back into it, I mean, people get into the industry like so randomly and in so unexpected ways. The best thing for me right now is to be prepared as who I am when the opportunity comes. And right now, just meeting a lot of people, finding different avenues of people working in just the entertainment industry in general, because you don't really know who you're going to meet whenever. And being able to raise a certain value of myself, like just as a person, right? Not on the resume. Sure, resume is great, but just as a person, like when I meet someone, will that person be able to recognize my value? And I think just being able to raise that value is what attracts people, right? And so that's my focus right now. And I'm not like worried about, I am worried about when it's gonna happen, but I'm not worried that it won't happen.
Okay.
Because I feel like if I just stay at course and I just stay true to who I am, at one point someone's gonna be able to recognize that value, and at one point I'll have the power to recognize that value for someone else. Yeah.
Just going back to the idea of value, so much I feel like of getting a film made or making it happen is also communicating with people who are not specifically in the quote unquote filmmaking space.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times, especially in the indie level, a lot of your budget comes from independent financiers and people who are in the, finance sector or who are somewhat interested in the arts. They want
Yeah.
to play around with it.
Yeah.
So how do you go about meeting and communicating with people who don't necessarily speak the same language as filmmakers do? And I feel like a big part of being a producer, I've realized, is being able to be like a communicator between the people who are, the artists, and then the people who are in charge of the whole business and financing side of things. So how do you serve as like a communicator in that sense?
The big part is like when we have a conversation with anyone, it's about having a common ground, right? And for us, like it's really easy because we're dealing with human spirit, right? We're dealing with human emotions. We're dealing with human reactions. And just because, these people aren't in the film industry doesn't make them not human, right? Like there's still a lot of human ways of connection, right? They might not understand like, oh yeah, we need like insurance for film or stuff like that,
Yeah.
the technicalities, but they understand like, yeah, like how it feels when like someone gets hurt around you, right? It's like you get to, if you connect with them on a human level, I think that's when real magic happens, and that's when things happen in a real way, right? It's like that's when you make real friends, not just work friends and like shallow connections. Like no, like let's connect in a human way. Like let's have a heart to heart, and be real with each other. Be really yourself when you approach other people, and then they will be themselves when they approach you. I think that's a good part. That's been a kind of my approach to when I meet people. I just try to be myself, man. Like I don't want to try to be someone else. Like I don't know when my real self is gonna leak then, right? Like let me just be myself, then you be yourself, and then we'll have a heart to heart and see where that goes.
And how do you go about when people that you're communicating with, and a lot of this industry is about accepting no's, because no's are going to take up like 95% of it, and the 5%, maybe even less, are going to be yeses. How do you go about like not like fostering healthy relationships with collaborators and whoever, but also knowing that a lot of times people don't necessarily have the confidence or the time to commit to what you try to do? How do you separate the no's from, like, it's a lot of times it's not personal, but I feel like it's easy to feel like, oh my gosh, like not again. Like, how do you stay consistent and keep pushing?
I feel like saying no is so natural part of our lives though, right? Like I say no all the time to a lot of things. I'm sure no one in this world just says yes all the time, right? So I don't sweat about it. Like I feel like sweating about it is actually more unnatural. Yeah, you might have put a lot of effort into it, but if that person didn't like it, like that person didn't like it. Um, and there's someone out there that may like it, or it's like you realize maybe what you think was great wasn't too great, like maybe there were things to fix and to improve on. Yeah, just not taking it personal is like a huge thing. Like it's just we're just having a conversation, we make decisions because we have a certain attraction to a certain decision. Yeah, just don't take it personally. Maybe it was, and it probably was a good thing that that person didn't say yes if that person initially was feeling no. Yeah, just don't take it personally. That's kind of the biggest thing. Yeah.
Of the people you met on the tour groups, is there a lot of people like you who also want to get into film, or are they just focused on music?
No, a lot of them are like completely different industries. Like I think I've met one, maybe two people that are trying to get into the film industry. Other ones like music industry, obviously. Other ones were just like, yeah, I'm into like entertainment accounting, or
Oh, okay.
some of them are like, yeah, I just came from like corporate, like, but I just hated corporate, so I'm here now. And I'm like, yeah, it's like everyone just like so different walks of life. Yeah, and then some of this like, yeah, I just wanted to travel. Like that was my thing. I was gonna do anything, but just as long as I travel, that was good. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Like they just wanted to explore. Yeah, that's so filmmaking. There's a few, but not many. Yeah.
When you travel with them, like, do you guys get a tour around the city, or is it just focused on? Okay.
It's like if we get the chance, we get to travel a little bit. Like
Yeah.
there's some off days, where
nice.
we get to just have the day for ourselves, and that's when we get to like travel a lot. Like I like walked around 30,000 steps in Paris like last week, just to like literally hit all the spots.
How was it? I mean, I was there last summer.
It was so good.
Yeah.
Paris is so beautiful. Paris, yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
And
I
they
wish I
pay
could go.
for like all the food and hotels.
They
right?
give you a per diem. Yeah. They give you like here's how much you can spend for your food on the off days. And then obviously hotels paid for. But you kind of work your budget around that.
Gotcha. Wow.
You're heading to Coachella soon, right?
I am. I'm heading to
Are
Coachella
you excited
next
for
week.
that?
I am. Yeah, I am. Especially because I think I've done Coachella last year, and this year is my second time returning. But I get to work with a kind of a production side that I'm not too familiar with, which is stage. Like I haven't done a lot of like live production stage in my life, but getting to explore that I think will be super fun, and just to get to see how that system works, and see what that side of creativity looks like. Yeah.
I'm still curious though, like, what exactly is it that you do on these tours mostly?
So the position that I did was scripter. When you go on concert, you have these LED screens that the artists are standing behind on, right? And there's all these cameras that get the angles of the artists. And so there's a technical director that has all these screens that they're switching between the cameras. And so what I do is I'm kind of his assistant, right? So when the music's following along, especially in K-pop, everything's very specific and precise. Like they are like a certain member is singing a certain part, and then the camera has to cut between from that to the other angle. Everything's very choreographed. And so for me, I kind of call out the standbys for these cameras. So let's say certain parts going on, and then camera 6 is about to come up. Then I'll call out the standby, like camera 6 standby. And then I'll look at like, hey, is camera 4 too bright, too dark? And I'll be like, okay, camera 4 too bright, 4 too dark. And then there will be the engineers that kind of work their way. So I'm just kind of like I kind of like a metronome almost, like keeping everything like in sync a little bit.
Right.
That's like a position that I did the most for now.
And is that what you're not doing that for Coachella anymore.
I'm not. No,
What does that job entail?
I don't know. We'll
Okay.
see. Yeah,
Ooh,
it's
exciting.
different. It's different. I guess we'll
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
Do they teach you how to do all this, or do they just expect you to kind of have experience already?
They teach you. Yeah, they teach you.
Great.
But I mean, it's very quick. Like they don't expect you to be like, hey, they don't give you a week to do it, like to study it, obviously. But and that's why like coming from a film production like background helps because we're quick learners. We have to be quick learners, and that helps with these kind of work.
Do you get to meet the artists ever? Or...
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool though. The company, what are they like doing for these artists? Are they just like for that venue, or is it just for the band, or
For
how
the
does that...
tour. For the tour.
So they're gonna be there for every stop of the tour, helping them like run the show.
Yeah. So
Gotcha.
the production follows along with the artists.
What is that company, by the way? What's it called?
The company that I work with right now, it's called Powerhouse.
Okay, and they're specialized in K-pop or?
Yeah, they're especially K-pop.
Cool, dude. That's exciting though.
Yeah.
That's really fun. And tell me about the project that you're gonna be producing soon.
There's a script in development, a short film script in development that has to do with this lifestyle of living inside a cabinet as your home. And we just kind of get to explore what that entails for a character, the limitations, and yet the, I guess, lifestyle choices that you kind of have to make and see how different they are from kind of who we are right now. Yeah, that's the project that we're working on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last Tuesday I got to read.
Oh, you really?
his
See,
latest.
Justin still hasn't given me this like the final script yet.
I
He's
think
like
it's
so
on-
careful about it.
I think it's on the drive.
That's it.
Maybe. I don't know. I actually don't know.
No,
I just
because
read it.
Justin was so adamant about me reading it in person.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
like,
you know what? That's a good call, I think.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's a natural reaction to it that
I've complained about it. It's like, dude, I'm on the road. Like I gotta look at it. But I respect his art and I wanna respect the way that he wants it to be read. So hopefully I'll get to read it in a couple days because I'm here now. I'm finally in LA.
When are you guys going into production, you think?
Well, I'll have to see the script, right? Like I have to see and read through it, kind of get a gauge on what we're looking at, and then kind of decide from there. And also it depends on when the money's gonna be ready too, right? Like we can't just say it's gonna be 2 months from now and have it not be financed properly. So
Right, totally. Do you believe in like filmmaking doing it the right way, or do you feel like there's like so many ways of making a film happen?
yeah, there's so many ways of making it happen, but I do think that there is a limit into unless you're financially like so well off. I think there is a limit to how much just like money you can pour on a short film and just in film in general. I think like that's the point there you have to consider the point of like, okay, a lot of this is for myself, yes, but is there by me doing this are we like in the harm's way of people around us? I think that's a conversation that you can answer, and you have to kind of have a judging scale on.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I remember we were talking on the set of Hermit Crab. It was a while ago, and I think we were talking about budget or something like that.
We were.
And I think you said something about a page of script is like $1,000.
Yeah.
Which I'm just thinking like, it could be $1,000 or it could be like $100, right? Like, what is that like? Because for different scripts, there's so many approaches of making it.
Yeah.
So why do you think you said $1,000 when we were talking about it?
Yeah. So I think I said that because I was in that mindset of the fixed like right quote unquote right way of filmmaking. I disagree with it now. I 100% take that back. I think filmmaking is unlimited. And of course there is a professional way of doing it, right? Of course there is you can get an RE, you can get like the best of equipment. But like you have to I guess be aware of whether or not that is the level at which we are at right now. I think there are we're so used to certain luxuries in our lives, and it hurts as an artist to know that like, oh, we could have done something better. And I think that's what that standard is, like the page 1,000 a page, at least for short films. It's like you like that's the level of completion and polish that could resemble something that is at the higher level. And obviously we always strive for higher level things, but also at the same time is like that's not a strict rule. Like nothing's ever a rule. And yeah, if that it's literally just two people talking in a script, like yeah, that's not 1,000 a page. Like no. So it's a case by case thing, but I don't think there's any rules to how much a film should cost. But obviously, with more money, the more polished things will look, the better thing, the more creative things you'll be able to do. It's just whatever you can do at the moment, making the best out of it.
Yeah, to that point, I really recommend listening to Alex Coco, who produced Nora. He's very much in the mindset of like, we got $6 million to make this high energy, shot in New York, shot on film movie. And there are a lot of ways that I think him and just the whole team like thought about how do we maximize the little things that we have and make it the best thing possible. And there's so many specific things to forget, but he has a way of like, because there was a shot in the movie that's really important, and he basically pulled it off while there's police activity, while there's the chair wasn't working, while this was so like, I don't know. I think yes, like a learning curve for me too, where it's like, at least on our level, we just gotta,
Yeah.
here's what we have, and then just maximize everything.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. I think it's something I'm still trying to learn as well. So.
And my thing is too is like, yes, having a lot of money for a film is like super great. Like that's like that shows off your craft. But for the film to really speak as a great film, it's not about the money that behind it. It's the creativity and the soul underneath it. And I think if that gets taken care of, I think you're off to a really good spot. Yeah.
Yeah, and also I was reading this because you wrote an episode of like Bittermelon or something like that.
yeah.
Right? And in the bio it said that you wanted to make films that are about your culture, your heritage of Korean, and you want to bring those on screen, right? And I'm curious, like, do you feel like as artists we are able to tell, like, obviously we can tell our own stories authentically, but do you think we're also able to tell stories of other cultures?
100%.
Okay.
100%. I said that because I was at a point where I had a kind of story of my current heritage in mind, and I was very deeply obsessed with it. But yeah, no story is limited to anyone, I think. There's people that could tell it probably better than you, and that's a whole conversation about like who can tell what story. But I think if you approach stories just as a human being, not necessarily just like, oh, I am a label, for example.
Yeah.
I think that's when you can really reach a universal core and universal value, instead of having it be so focused on like this heritage thing.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's like about familiarity too. Because a lot of times it's about like how you don't just make a film about this subject matter without doing your proper research and knowing exactly what you're getting yourself into, or like the story that you're telling, the people that's represented on screen. So I think that's also a big part of it. But
Yeah.
Lulu Wang said, I think she made The Farewell. It's like basically her story, but she said that like she said that she thinks that filmmakers should not be limited to telling only stories that has really occurred to them or have personal value to them.
Yeah.
That they should be able to present a story in their own way that with the story not being necessarily so deeply intertwined with their personal experience. But,
Yeah, I mean, because at the end of the day, filmmaking is a service.
it is. It should be an altruistic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not like, as much as we love like the fact that filmmaking is an expression of ourselves, it is a service, right? So I think it's important to always kind of retract and just think about, hey, am I just being like by making this film, am I just being like grabbing someone by the neck and be like, here's what I gotta say, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I think that sometimes can get a little dangerous. Like, it can fill your ego up a little too much, right? It's like, at the end of the day, filmmaking is about communicating, and it's about being of service for other people. And I think that's really important.
That's also something do you know Zach and Ryan?
Robinson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said the exact same thing on the podcast
Mm.
a little bit ago. Maybe it's like a film ed thing, you guys. don't get taught that. No, I'm kidding, but
Is it? I don't know.
probably.
I don't think Film Ed ever taught me. Sorry, Film Ed, but
no, I think that's such a great perspective on art and filmmaking, is like to realize it's not just for yourself, but also that does go against a lot of other artists who do believe that. So
it's always a battle, which is why art
That's
is
what
confusing.
makes it so interesting.
I know.
yeah,
It's like there's so many different. There's no one way to just lock it in and say here's exactly what it is. You know.
right. And also,
Yeah.
Daniel, because you're traveling a lot, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious on like the life side of things. Like when you're not traveling, like are you staying with your parents, or are you okay? And you have a girlfriend right now, right?
I do.
How does that work? Because what is she doing?
Well, she's still in school.
Okay.
So that helps a lot, I'm sure. I just try to be present when I'm home. I don't
Yeah.
like as kind of, it's not tiring, but like I need to be able to show appreciation to the people here back at home when I am home, because I can't do that when I'm away, or not as well when I'm compared to here. So like, yeah, I like during tours, I'll figure out when I'll be off, like when I'm back home, and I'll just try to schedule everything every day.
That's nice.
And so yeah, just being able to show appreciation, because they know that I'm not like, it's work and I'm not trying to like make them feel bad, right? But as long as I just show effort, and if they really truly are your friends and they love you for who you are, then I think they kind of end up understanding.
Yeah. And when you're on these tours, when you're away from them, because at USC, everyone, or at least from what I see, mostly are very collaborative, very nice to each other, very
Yeah.
kind. And do you feel like it's the same way on these tours, or do you feel like the real world's a lot different?
First of all, is everyone collaborative and nice to each other at USC? In the outside world, I think people find their people for sure. The more I've seen it, even in USC too, it's like you just see it's like, for the lack of a better word, like cliques almost. Like, I mean, we have our own friend groups and people that we hang out with. And especially, at least for the tour stuff, what I've seen is like the people that work together for a certain project, they just continue to work together for the rest of the tours, or for different artists and different productions.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, just natural. Like, they probably vibed with their personality and their work ethic, and they're like, hey, if it works, why are we trying to change it, right? So I see that happening a lot, where they find the group and they just kind of stick to it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But people are generally nice, though.
Yeah. I think yes, they are nicer, and I'm hoping that is because they are actually genuinely nice people. But also, I think you are more criminalized if you are not nice to people in this industry,
Right.
and especially in the real world, like, it's like your pay depends on it, like your financial pay depends on whether you're nice to people. And so I think people are a little bit more careful in that way to be nice to others. But I did realize that, like, the higher ups, like the people that are kind of already in the higher positions, like, they can get a little bit more lax about it, just because I guess there's less risk. I think they are in a position where they can be a little bit more project oriented, for the lack of a better word, than be more socially affable.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, something we do on this podcast is we have the previous guest leave a question for the current guest. And the previous guest left a question, which is, what are some cool locations in LA that you like filming at, or you like hanging out at?
Hanging out, I definitely do like that kind of north-ish, like Pasadena, Glendale. Even I would push it to like West Hollywood a little bit. Like those are places that are very nice. Filming wise, I don't think I really film in LA all that much. Kind of more like concrete areas. Like if you look at some downtown LA spots, there's a lot of like you can really have fun with lines, like in terms of composition. Like if you just look at a certain way or just tilt your head a certain way, there's a lot of lines of composition that you can play with. So I think I like exploring those. Even when I just walk around and take photos, I think those lines very interest me very much. Hanging out though, best food probably is in West Hollywood. I go there a lot.
Wow.
Probably gonna go there tonight, not gonna lie.
What's your favorite restaurant?
My favorite restaurant? Ooh, tough. I would say Cento Pasta Bar. Yeah, it's in
Okay. Never been.
yeah, it's kind of like going towards West Hollywood-ish. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I gotta check that out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah. Well, Daniel, I have a closing question for you.
Okay.
If you saw yourself in the future 10 years ahead, so you're 30 something, what would be one thing that you would ask him?
Are you happy? I think as an artist, I think you have to be happy. Like even if you are going through a rough patch and you feel really down, I think knowing that you will be happy, or that is a natural process for you to go through and to kind of become a better person. Having that mindset makes you happy in a certain form. And so I'll just ask it like, hey, are you happy? Are you enjoying life to the full extent? And hopefully the answer is yes. If not, then I'm probably in a moment of growth, and I'll be excited for the next year or whatever is in the future for me.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Daniel, thank you so much for coming on the
Yeah,
show.
thank you.
This was
Thanks for
so
having me.
cool.
This was super fun.
Yeah, dude. And it's really nice to have a fresh perspective on like what happens after film school, because I feel like once film school is over, like you don't really hear about those people who graduated, and it's really nice having you on the show to talk about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you.